Hi everyone. I'm just lying down here and the Lord, speaking to me, and sometimes I don't record what the Lord is saying to me or the ideas that God is putting in my head. But I decide to try to take a note of them because I don't know what message God will want me to put out to the masses, because what I am experiencing, other people are experiencing too. And sometimes people are not clear as to what they experience and on what they're going through and what they should do next. And having gone through certain things, you because of my experience, might be able to help somebody go through a situation in their life. So the message may not be for everyone, but at some point it could still be for someone. So I'm doing this recording, not sure when it will come out, but in the interim, at least I have it saved for when the Spirit of the Lord move on me to send it forth. So having saying that, I just want to give God praise and thanks for whatever word that He would use me to be an instrument to bring forth. But I was thinking about change, and in life, change is inevitable. The evolution of life itself is about change. If we look at time, generations, history, one thing is certain is change. Change is certain even in our body. Every day we change our cells. There are cells that change on a daily basis. There are cells that change over a period of time in our body. But change is something that we don't really like, because we become accustomed to a particular pattern, a particular way of doing things, a particular way of operating. And change this cause a disruption in your mental, how you think. It causes you to shift your perception. And as humans, we don't like to shift our perception. Change in the mind is a very difficult thing. It brings about with it stress and pain. Now, change can come in two ways, mentally, that is, or in situations, even in our life. Sometimes things happen and it happens over a period of time, gradual change. Change that we don't see happening right away, but it happens over a period of time. And when we look back from where we came from to where we are, we realize that things has changed and we didn't even notice it was changing, or we were doing the adjustment in our mental over a period of time without realizing that we were adjusting ourselves to the changes. But there's also sudden change that comes suddenly like a shock, that actually disrupts the whole body, the whole mental, everything in your system is like it's shattered. And this change sometimes hurts real bad, because sometimes it might be a death in your family, that might be a shock. It might be the news of being some form of sickness. It might be a breakup in a relationship. It could be something that happened, a world event that take place that cause a sudden change, some kind of world war breakout, or some kind of disease, like for instance, COVID hitting the whole world, that cause a sudden change, or a weather condition that causes a sudden change, or the burning down of a house, the loss of a job. So it could be anything that could bring sudden change. And I will say sudden change is a better form of change to deal with, because it causes a sudden disruption, but it also forces the mind to make the necessary adjustment. It will cause pain for a period of time, maybe a 3 months or so, but it will bring about a settlement eventually and faster, and your body can adjust it. Now, prolonged change that takes place gradually or situations being in a stressful situation, like a sickness that is prolonged, and in the family, or even domestic violence, or a relationship that gone sour, and all of a sudden, the changes are happening over a period of time, but it is adding stress to your body. And that stress can be damaging, because sometimes by the time you overcome that change, you also have other problems to deal with, because now your body is sick. It destroying your organs. The stress has destroyed your organs to cause some kind of sickness that you now have to adjust to as well. So you have other changes taking place in that same situation, or some situation with a child who may be on drugs, or something that is going to be requiring you to make adjustments over a period of time. So changes come in many ways, but it also comes in two forms: suddenly or over a prolonged period of time. But change must come, and we have to learn how to adapt to that change. And adaptation to changes really is a mental thing. We have to learn to become like liquid, as I was saying to some friends. When you become like liquid, it means that you don't have no set way in your mind of thinking, that you leave yourself open to adjustments to situations and circumstances. Because when you hold on to things too tightly, then you experience too much of trauma in your life, because you have to now let it go, and you don't know how to let it go. And therefore, that is where the adjustment to change come, and you don't know how to make that adjustment, is where you become traumatized to situations and circumstances. If you notice how water operates, with water, it is not defined. Water is defined by the container it is in. Basically, if it is in a circle, a glass, the water takes the shape of the glass. You put it in a bowl, it takes the shape of the bowl. You put it in a bottle, it takes the shape of the bottle. Water is not defined by its own component itself, but by the component it is placed in. And we have to have that kind of mental, where we are defined by the circumstances that we are in. We can adjust to suit, so that we don't become too stressful. Because if I'm trying to put, let me say, okay, you can't put an ice cube in what through a bottle hole. You have to wait for it to melt it first. So even though the water is solid, if you don't melt it, it cannot go inside the bottle. You have to let it come to the place of liquid before you can actually put it inside the bottle. So the mind is a tricky thing, and it doesn't like to let go. But what I can say is that what you have to do now is break down your perception and rebuild. That's why the Bible talk about the renewing of your mind, because your change is only going to come through the renewing of your mind. Some of the programs that we have been experiencing, as what they give us, what they tell us, is not always 100%. Some of it is true, and some of it is perception that people put on you, and projection that people put on you over a period of time, and they call it the culture, they call it the norm, they call it the trend. But it is not necessarily mean that that is what it is. And we have to come now and make adjustments to suit what really is reality. Because the Bible says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And people are so lazy today. They don't seek real knowledge. They seek only to listen to what people tell them, because people came and they would do their own personal research and add their own personal perception onto things, and people take that and run with it without actually doing their own research to really see where the truth really lies. And we have, as we say, we have people who will come around you with their mindset and influence your mind to go a particular way. But you are the one who has to make the necessary adjustments to whatever circumstance and situation you find yourself in. So change is something that is always going to be there. And the quicker we learn to adapt to changes, the easier it will be. The easier it will be for us to be able to um, move forward in life in a positive way. Because we can adapt to change in a negative way, or we can adapt to change in a positive way. But change will definitely come. Yes, change will definitely come, whether we want it to or not. Now, changes is not necessarily a bad thing. What is bad about change is how we perceive the changes. And we can perceive the changes from a negative point of view. And then what happens is that we resist the changes. And by resisting the changes, we create a very toxic environment for ourselves and probably for others who are involved in the changes. Because when we start to resist change, then we make ourselves vulnerable and we start to fight against the changes that is coming. And what we do is that we damage ourselves because the change is still going to take place, whether we like it or not. It will take place. However, our period of adjustment mentally is damaged because we were resisting the change and therefore we were fighting against it. What we have to do is see how the change can be turned into a positive outcome. How can we use this change to elevate ourselves or the situation at hand? What can we now do to bring about a better, more positive outcome? If it's a sickness, probably maybe do some research to see, well, what actions you could take to deal with this new change that is happening. Everything happens, the Bible says, that works together for the good of those that love the Lord. Now, I can't speak for people who don't love the Lord. I can speak for people who love the Lord because I know my life has been a life of changes over the years. And every change, even though I didn't see it at the time, was for a better outcome. You can use the changes to improve yourself, or you can use the changes to bring yourself down to a low place. It all depends on how you adjust to the changes, adapt it in what way, whether it be positive or whether it be in a negative light. But I believe that everything happens for a reason. Everything happens to bring about a better outcome. You just have to be able to open your mind to see that where this change is leading you is in a positive direction. And as I said, the mind is very funny because the mind, and I shouldn't say the mind really, because the mind is really a battle between the ego and the divine. We say we have two minds, but it's not two minds. We have one mind that is being influenced by both dark and negative dark forces and positive light forces. So we have the battleground really is in your mind. And everything could be positive if you see it from a different perspective, or it could be negative if you see it from another perspective. But you have to learn how to balance it out and know that, let me see what good could come of this situation. Because maybe it might be where you need to change your thinking because you're thinking wrong. Or maybe it may mean that this is pointing you in a new direction that is a better outcome for you. Because sometimes the Lord will allow things to happen to bring about a change in your life. Because He wants to set you on a new path. He wants to set you on a path that will bring out a better outcome for your life, because you're going the wrong road. You're going down the wrong road that is going to end up in your destruction. But we are so set in our ways and our mindset that we don't want no change, that sometimes we run away or we try to avoid the change and we go in a next direction, totally opposite to where the Creator trying to get us to go. And we end up making our life devastating and we never achieve much in life. A lot of people life end up they die and they never accomplish the things that they were supposed to accomplish because they run away from the changes. And every change I can tell you that came about in my life, whether it was a negative, it came about to bring out a positive. And I embraced the change. I adapted to the change. I used the change to help me elevate myself to the place that I should be. Of course, with prayer, I will pray about it and I ask the Creator give me guidance as to why this is happening, what He wants from me, what do I need to do, what adjustments do I need to do. Help me to adjust to whatever circumstance or situation that I need to make the adjustments to. And I try to incorporate that change in my life in a positive way. And by doing that, I turn that, whether it's a negative change or a positive change, into something positive. And I use it to teach me something in life lessons because I believe everything comes to give you some form of lesson. It may not even be for you, it may be for your next generation, it might be for your children. The adjustment of your change now could be to help your children in the future. Because if you never experience certain things, you cannot speak on it. You cannot give them guidance to say, well, this is the way that you could look at going. I mean, you don't force your opinion on people, because people have their own mind and they have to make their own adjustments and their own decision. But you could help them to get wisdom, because the Bible say, seek wisdom and seek counseling from the wife, from many if you're not sure. But it doesn't mean that because you seek counseling, they have to take their decision. And that's another thing that people tend to feel, that because they give you advice, you have to take their advice. No, you take pieces. You might take pieces from several, because there is wisdom in the counsel of many. So you may take pieces of everybody's opinion and formulate your own. It doesn't necessarily mean you'll take one particular person's opinion, because that person's opinion may not be the right opinion, but something they say may make sense. Out of all the conversation and everything that they tell you, something may make sense. Or something somebody else say may make sense. And you may piece together the pieces of what makes sense and come up with your own solution to adapt to the changes that is necessary. So you need to take time to meditate and pray as well, and to also formulate what is going to be comfortable for you at the time in your circumstances. So change is necessary, it is important, but how you view the changes is what will determine the outcome of whether it be positive or negative. So always try to see the positiveness in it, because it always has something positive in every situation that you face, in every circumstance that you face. Sometimes it might be that you have to make the adjustments within yourself, because you may be making the same mistakes over and over and over. And if you're making the same mistakes over and over and over, and you're seeing changes taking place in your life that is causing havoc or devastation, it just may be that the problem is not the havoc or the devastation, or the problem is within you. It is what in you that is calling and attracting these negative things to happen, that is creating this problem for you. And therefore the change need to take place within yourself, within how you think, within how you look, within how you perceive things. And if it's something outside of you, you make the necessary adjustments within you to adapt to that too. And therefore you bring a positive outcome to it. But sometimes the change that needs to take place is within you, within your mental, you know, or you need to, everything will still be within the mental, because whether you adapt it outside or internally, it still has to be done from within your mental. So I don't know if this was helpful, but I think it may have helped somebody. I don't want to go too long, because I don't want the message to be too long for people to become bored with it. So I will say, well, it's morning time now, so I'll say good morning here. Have a blessed, wonderful time whenever you get this message. I hope it resonates with you. I hope the Lord will create a seed that He can speak to you now on it, so that what I didn't say, He can say to you. Because God will speak to us in different ways and different forms, depending on what we need to hear. But open your mind to receive, pray about it, and ask God to help you to make the necessary adaptation to whatever changes that is coming to you or in your life that you need to make. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video, because there are people who need to hear this word too. Thank you so very much, and I love you.